Hello, everybody. It's Lori White with the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce here with another episode of Chamber TV, episode number 211. And today we are in for a fabulous experience. We're going to have a masterclass, if you will, on the art and the science of public relations. And no one better to do that with us than Annette Maggiacomo, the newly named president of the longstanding Providence-based advertising, PR, and marketing firm, Duffy and Shanley. So hello, Annette. How are you today?
Thank you, Lori, for that wonderful introduction. So happy to speak with you.
Absolutely. So we have been friends and business associates for a very long time. One of my first business leaders and acquaintances when I was just starting out at the chamber was Dave Duffy, and then subsequently his son, Jon Duffy. So the transition to Annette Maggiacomo is a very, very proud moment for the agency.
I feel like I remember in my early days, it probably had to be like 97, 98. I came into a chamber meeting with Dave, and I remember meeting you for the first time and thinking, wow, like this is like, I'm in the business world now. I can remember that office and going with Dave for something. I think it was Fidelity coming into Rhode Island, actually, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the agency today and how the agency has really found a super compelling niche in public relations.
Yeah, my favorite topic. I could talk about us all day long, and we don't do enough of it. We talk about our clients a lot. We tend to not talk about ourselves enough. So thanks for having us on here. I think, turning 51 and me being appointed president gives us a lot of great opportunities to think about where does this firm go, but never lose track of kind of where we started. And I think, we are a independent communications firm in New England. We are one of the oldest in New England. I tell prospective clients all the time that we're really proud of the fact that we are 51 and that we've been able to reinvent ourselves and really, make sure that we're offering services that our clients continue to need and want, and, not become a stale old, has been, so to speak. And so under my group, I run specifically the communications piece for our consumer business. So being a Rhode Island-based firm, I remember the years of, everyone in our industry thinking about, oh, you're not in Boston, or, oh, you're not in New York, you're in Providence. And I always would proudly say that we're in the greatest state in the country to do business in, and that we're not confined by borders. And we've really shown that with our client base. And I think that we've been able to keep to our roots of Dave Duffy founded Duffy and Shanley as a public affairs, PR firm back in 1973. And we've morphed over the years to be an integrated communications firm. So we have a lot of different in-house services with some really, really great clients. And I think the biggest thing for us is we love what we do. And I think it's what's made us been able to, withstand 51 years of being in business, no doubt, no doubt.
So Annette, just tell us a little bit about the integrated services that you're referring to, and then we'll dive a little deeper.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So my kids, I have two girls, and I think my entire life, my whole family's been like, what does PR do? What do you do every day? What does the marketing agency do every day? So on the public relations side, we are protectors of brands, we like to say. So we work with, media relations or special events or influencer relations, social media. It kind of runs the gamut. We have in-house creative. We have in-house media buying services. And so we're really a full service agency. Some clients we're touching multiple parts of our business. Some clients are, just touching the advertising or the PR side. But we have a really great creative group that can take a client's problems and say, okay, what's the best way to handle, what you need? Sometimes clients will come to us and think, I need a brochure, or I need a digital billboard, or I need social media. What is that? Or I need influencers. What is that? And so it's our job to say, here's your challenge in the marketplace, and here's what we think from an agency perspective, why we can help you and what the best skill set is to do that. So is it public relations? Is it media relations? Is it influencer relations? Is it helping you with your social platforms? What is it? And so every client is very different. It's what I love about being in an agency. It's funny, when I came through the doors at Duffy and Shanley in 1997, I was hired by Dave Duffy. I love telling people that because there's only a few of us that are still here that were hired by him. And I remember sitting in his big office on Richmond Street and looking out the windows at the city and thinking, like, wow, I work here now. I was just out of college. I came from Boston. I was like, wanted to build a family here in Rhode Island, but also wanted to be part of a great business and do great work professionally, and be able to do that here. And so it's thrilling to now say, 27 years later, that I can shape who we are and where we go from here. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
In preparation for this interview, Annette, I called Dave Duffy last night to ask him to reflect for a few moments on the firm, and 51 years now. We all went to the 50-year party at the Providence Library to celebrate the firm's milestone. And the thing that he was really, he was really bent on was the notion that, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of passion. It takes a lot of great staffing in order to take a business and perpetuate it as long as you have. He was really proud of that, and he feels as though you exemplify the brand that he created around the public affairs space. And that's really where Duffy and Shanley, I think at the beginning, earned its stripes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and I say it to clients, Lori, all the time now, when, we're usually in competitive reviews with 5 to 6 other agencies that are global agencies with hundreds of people. And, we come in the room and, hi, we're Duffy and Shanley. We're from Providence, Rhode Island. And everybody's like, Providence, is that near New York? Or is that, they give us that line still. And I always think to myself, and I always say to clients, we will never let you down, and you will be making the best decision of your life by hiring us, because somehow, and I think this is hard work, a little bit of luck, but it's hard work. We all really love what we do. And our passion and our commitment to almost our roots, I would say. I think we all believe, Dave still comes in here time to time, and we'll sit and talk to the team and talk about how he started the business, why he wanted to be in this type of business, and what it means to him to continue to see us grow and do great work. And I think that we somehow have been able to have this camaraderie and this teamwork that has really allowed us to flourish and thrive. And clients see that, and they see the passion, and they see your commitment to excellence, and they see that you care. And it sounds very simple, but I think it's lost on a lot of industries. And I see it with a lot of, when clients call us and they're having a bad experience with an agency, or, a different sector of their business, or different partners of their business. I think it always comes down to those relationships and those personalities that for some reason aren't working. And I think that when we hire people, we always say, just hire somebody new, actually, who's coming in next week. And my biggest thing I always say is, I can't teach you to care and have a passion for wanting to be at Duffy and Shanley. And I think I will always have Dave in my ear, always, on not letting him down on that respect of continuing what's made us get to 51. And I think it's hard. I think Estee Lauder said it best. That's a quote I always refer to. It wasn't easy work. It was hard work. It's not luck. It's hard work. It is. So I'll always have Dave in the back of my mind saying, make sure you take care of Duffy and Shanley.
Yeah. So, there's so much wisdom in what you just said, and, true. It sounds easy, but it truly is hard work to be able to carry that passion through the generations. So let's talk a little bit about how the industry has changed. Certainly 50 years ago, there was no such thing as even faxing or social
I
media.
know we didn't even have computers when I started. I'll never forget that. We got the first Apple computer, the color ones. I'll never forget that. And I had a purple Apple computer, like right when I started. And I remember saying to Dave, are we going to have the internet? Are we going to be able to use AOL? We used to fax press releases and fax any kind of communication with media. And that just feels like such a lifetime ago, to be honest. I don't even know, how did we do our job then? I don't know. I think back to that and think, because now everything is, we're sending an email, or we're following editors on social, or we're meeting them in person. It's funny, some of the skills that we did in the early 90s, I always try to say to the team, let's make sure we go back to that, because you can't just send an email and expect anyone to pay attention to just an email. So it's a crutch, but it's also obviously a great thing, no doubt.
So Annette, let's start the masterclass now. So people are listening to this; they're really awed by your expertise and your ability to really dial into what's necessary to help the brand, protect the brand. So let's start at the very beginning. So a client comes to you and they express an issue like, okay, we want more sales. Take us through, just briefly, what are the top level responses?
So here's my analogy. I always say we're going to build you a house, and we have to worry about what does the foundation look like. Because if we don't have a strong foundation, we're not going to be able to build the second and the third floor and the beautiful backyard, right? So I say, we get two things when clients come to us. One, I want to be on Good Morning America. It used to be Oprah would be the big thing. Or I want to be on the front page of, the Wall Street Journal, or I want to be in the CEO corner of the Times, whatever it is. And two, I have to sell this widget that I have, this product, whatever it is, or if it's a service, whatever it is. And I always I say, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about, what are your objectives? What do you believe PR is? So I'm talking just from a PR perspective. What do you believe public relations is for your brand? And what's important to you, and who are we talking? Who is it that we're trying to communicate with? That is the first and foremost, most important thing. Who are our stakeholders? Because every client has somewhat of a different group that they're trying to target. Although in 2024, everybody's trying to reach, these Gen Zs. So I think we sit down and we say, okay, do you want to use media relations? Do you want to use influencer relations? Do you want to use social? And is it, in the best case, it's usually a combination of a lot of things. There's not just one way. We always talk about, look at a piece of pie and say, okay, I need to make sure I'm really doing a variety of activities to sell my product. And I think how you do that really depends on a collaborative effort. That's another thing that I would stress from a masterclass. And I say this a lot when I speak to, colleges and universities, and I say, or clients, who work collaboratively. It sounds very simple, but you don't want a client to come in and just say, well, I want this, this, and this. Because if they're coming to an agency, they're coming to an agency because they don't have the inside resources to be able to communicate to those audiences. So make sure that you're listening to them and you're helping them uncover what it is they they need, because sometimes they're not expected to have that skill set, because why would they be hiring an agency if they did? So they think in their mind they know, and they know their business better than we do. There's no doubt when they first walk through our doors, they know their business or their product or their service. But I think our job as an agency and as professionals is to say, okay, we're going to look at this landscape broadly, and we're going to make sure that we're giving you what you need to succeed. And it's funny, PR people have an issue with the whole sales piece, because I say this to a lot of my clients, and it's really hard. It's a battle in 2024 that was a battle 20 years ago when I started. What is the value of public relations? And so I say back, well, what's the value of protecting your brand? Because I am the protector of your brand, whether it's a retail store or it's a service, whatever it is. And until something bad happens, unfortunately, a lot of brands don't understand why they need this halo over them, to say, hey, we do good things, and we're not, we maybe make mistakes, but we also do good things. So I think I say to clients a lot, that's really super important to start with making sure you're really thinking through what it is you need and how to get there. Budgets aren't unlimited either. And that's another thing that I think we really pride ourselves on, is we want to do the right thing. And it's not about just, I'm not a drive-through. Like, you're not going to come through. I use that analogy all the time. We're not a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. Like, you're not going to come through and just order a sprinkled donut or a coffee and just be like, oh, good, I'm set. I'm good for the day. Like, no, this is a collaborative process that takes time and that you've got to work together on. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And especially the part of, first of all, I'm amazed that a client would come in and they would just right out of the blue think they could be on Oprah.
Every day, Lori, every day.
Wow. That takes a lot of...
every day. And it's morphed into, it's funny, and this will show you the industry. Now they're saying, did you see this hot person on TikTok that's really hot, getting a lot of, views on TikTok? Or there's this really hot Instagrammer that would be perfect for our brand. We want to do that. They've got to get our product in their hands. It's not that simple. It's just not how it works.
Yeah. So you deconstruct the problem. And I think that's, really, really where it all begins, in terms of, the client really doesn't know what they need, he or she needs, until you go through sort of a checklist of sorts and determine, exactly what they're trying to achieve. So thinking about today's landscape, and you've mentioned influencers and the like, tell us about the land of influencers today, and explain what an influencer is from a PR perspective, in case some folks might have a question about what exactly that means.
Yeah, and it is something different too, depending on the brand or who the client is. An influencer, I would define in simplest terms, is someone that you want to align your product, service, brand with, and you want to be able to tap into their communities, wherever their communities may be. So they could be on TikTok, they could be on Instagram, they could be on Facebook, they could be on LinkedIn, they could be, they could be really good with local TV. It runs the gamut. And we, from a PR perspective, look at, and we use third-party services to do this. We look at, a client will come to us and say, we want to promote a new store or opening in Virginia, just giving an example. And we want to know who in that community has influence over our target demographic. So we do a lot of digging and saying, okay, BJ's is actually a really good example. We handle their national, we are their agency of record for social influencers and media nationwide. And they're a very fast growing business. And so they're opening clubs all over the East Coast, and they're starting to go a little bit west. And so this year we opened some new clubs in Tennessee. It's a good example. And in Tennessee, people don't know what BJ's is. They don't know what a BJ's is. In New England, most people know what a BJ's is. And so we go into that community. We do a lot of research. We spend a lot of time using third-party tools, like I said, to look into who can we target in this community and who can we really partner with to help tell the BJ's message. And so what is that message and who is that person and what does that partnership look like? And there's always a cost to it. People don't, just like I don't work for free, influencers don't work for free. There were days, I think back to this about 10 maybe years ago, they would trade and say, oh, we'll take, if you give us gift cards to a BJ's, we can, we'll do something to promote your brand. The industry has exploded so much where influencers are getting paid millions of dollars, millions, to align with a brand or a product or a service and allow that brand to tap into their audience. And their audiences are very engaged, and their audiences are, audiences that brands want to use. And so it's become a very interesting piece of how you use public relations and how influencers play a role, almost like media once did solely on their own. Because from a PR perspective, when Dave started, it was, who are we talking to? Newspapers and magazines. Now you've got to look at the way consumers are digesting information is really broad. And so they're getting information from social media and from influencers and from newspapers and from magazines and from TV, and trying to dissect that. Influencers just really have become a major role. And sometimes the cost of them will come across my desk and I'll just say, wow, it is not a cheap proposition for sure. It's
All right. So inquiring minds want to know what is the most you've ever paid? Don't tell us who or on behalf of whom, but just tell us what the highest fee that you
1 million for 2 posts on Instagram.
Wow. 1 million for 2 posts on
That's
Instagram.
really not a lot.
No.
Brands are spending, they're spending on influencers. They're spending, it's part of their marketing matrix. And especially, I'm trying to give you good examples, like some of the, like Adidas or Nike or, any of those big, Hanes is one of our clients. We do a lot of work with Hanes brands, and, they want that affiliation. They want to be able to tap into those audiences, and they want to be able to show their really cool, great products to that generation. So when you were speaking to Dave, he probably told you I was down there recently. I went to a small Christian college called Palm Beach Atlantic University. It's very much like a Providence College type environment. And they asked me to come back and speak to one of their PR classes last week. And I always ask, there was probably 30 seniors in the class. And I always start with, what did you all read today? And they always look at me like, what did we read? We didn't, what do you mean? What did we read? Usually I get, what do you mean? Well, where do you get your information? Like, you woke up this morning and you're scrolling or you're looking at something. Where are you? Because I'm trying not to give them the answer. And the entire class is on TikTok or Instagram. They're not reading magazines. They're probably not watching TV. They're getting their news from social media. And so that's not a new thing. And these brands know this, and they're trying to tap into grabbing their attention and creating loyal brand followers at the age of 19 or 18 or 20. I mean, getting that generation to buy into and make choices before they're like 30 is really key for a lot of our clients. And we're seeing that on the daily. And that's why influencers are playing such a big role.
So you don't really need many clients if you're an influencer and you're getting $1 million for 2 posts, you know?
Well, do you know what I have found? And this is interesting. 10 years ago, it wasn't as crowded as an environment, but now there's a lot of really successful influencers that have done a very good job in building their following, have incredible audiences that we can track with third-party data. So we know what the KPI is. We know what the kind of return or engagement will be. And I think it has gotten I do feel like it's getting to be a little bit more competitive because there's more of them. So like from when we started, you would say, ooh, you know, especially in smaller communities, like Tennessee is a good example. We go into Tennessee and we're saying, you know, we're not going to be able to partner with all of these, you know, country stars, for example. Like we can't afford that. So we're looking at, you know, who in that footprint represents a BJ's consumer the best. And there's really good options, actually. There's really good options. And their content's really good. And you're showing an authentic way. I think people want to see, like, I think about it from a mom perspective. I think about it when I first had my 2 girls. You know, we're busy, we're working. We want to be able to shop somewhere that is a one-stop shop. And it's easy to relate when you see another person doing that. And so it's helpful.
So the key question, Annette, is does the influencer halo, does it work? Does it drive traffic to the brand?
It does.
You've selected
It does.
somebody.
So I feel like if you define your KPIs up front, why are we partnering with influencers and what are we going to expect from this? So in some cases, you're able to link traffic directly to wherever it is we're pushing. If it's joining a BJ's, if it's purchasing a Hanes product, if it's, you know, whatever that KPI is, make sure you have that clear expectation up front with the client too, because in some cases we're using influencers to just educate and communicate and make sure that people understand whatever it is, the product or service that we're promoting. We represent the 2nd largest private student loan lender in the US. I love them. They're a very special client to me. We started with them, my God, probably 10 years ago. It was a bunch of executives that came out of Sallie Mae and wanted to start this new firm with this passion and this belief of doing the right thing and really educating people on how to borrow smart for college. And we started when they were very little, and now they're the 2nd biggest in the US. And for them, influencers mean helping people understand, you know, why you should take a private loan, how you should do that, why you shouldn't, you know, bury yourself with student loan debt. You know, what's the smart way to do that? And so it's not a sale, so to speak. It's more about, I really was able to help educate someone on like a best practice of how to do this. And some of that work is very fulfilling, actually, because you'll see people comment or write back. I had my first child went to college this year and I didn't know how to approach that. And, you know, you guys helped me with this and not do something or make a bad decision for the family because I had this information that I didn't really know existed. And so that's very fulfilling too. So we see a lot of that too, which I love.
TikTok. So between the 2 platforms, TikTok and Instagram, you know, people are talking about, you know, TikTok being, you know, not the preferred choice given, you know, some of the underlying
regulations.
Yeah. So where does that stand?
I mean, I look, if you're trying to reach Gen Z, they're on TikTok. And that's what these brands are finding. I think, you know, it's a powerful platform. And as we navigate through, it's not right for every client either. Like, you're not going to just go and open a TikTok page. You know, you're not going, and some universities have banned being able to get onto TikTok, but it's there. And while it's there, make sure you're smart and make sure you're using it if it makes sense for you. That's what I would say.
So if somebody's listening to this and Gen Z is not their market, maybe their target market skews a little older, what would you recommend in that case?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, it depends what it is they're trying to do too, right? Like, who is it? So Facebook is a good example for BJs. We use Facebook a lot for BJs because BJs runs the gamut of, we want that 25-year-old new mom, but we also have a lot of members that are 40 plus. And so Facebook's a very good platform for that. Instagram too. Instagram is very, very strong and solid with, Gen Z up to like old me at 50. So it runs the gamut and you're able to do both. And then I would say you use LinkedIn for more of a thought leadership platform. And for College Ave, we do that a lot. The student loan lender I was talking about, there's a lot of opportunities for us to be able to educate and talk about lending and student loans in that platform, where, it's maybe not as good for a retail consumer. It just depends what your objectives are too.
Yeah. So we only have a couple of minutes left in that, but I wanted to ask you one last trend that I personally have a lot of questions about, the effectiveness of it and the intrusiveness of it. But tell us what you think about CMS marketing.
I mean, listen, I think technology is just going to, AI, any of these, like, it's going to blow up our world, I think. And it's about, how are you watching these trends and making sure that technology doesn't ruin your business almost, if that makes sense? I think that's really super important because I think AI is going to change our world tremendously. And I don't think we know what that even looks like. And I think, you got to watch all of these things that are going to come up that are going to impact our ability to operate as businesses, and making sure that we're using the right things to do that, if that makes sense. There's always going to be something, I guess, is my answer. And so what is it, and does it make sense for you? And how do you get ahead of it, I think, is what you have to think about from a small business perspective.
So last question, what resources do you use personally to keep yourself sharp?
I love Morning Brew. I read like the marketing and the retail Morning Brew all the time. I feel like they've got their pulse on our industry. I read something so funny today in there about Trader Joe's, which is obviously important for us from a BJ's perspective, about a PR person that thought there was a Trader Joe's opening in Missouri, but it was Virginia, and they were talking to the wrong media outlets. And I sent it to the team and I said, I could see how it happens. The cities were the same names. And so, I love reading Morning Brew for that, because I feel like they're able to capture such good info. I always scroll through Instagram. Shop Today did a feature this morning about the coolest product launches in February. And we have a really big product launch coming up for Hanes in March. So I said to the team, we better be in this in March. We have a little bit of a challenge with the editor there. So it's a big, important thing for us. So, I'm trying to look at all different types of media, scanning through it early before I get in here, because once I come in here, that's it. And our clients rely on us for that. What's happening in the world that they need to know about. No doubt.
Okay. Annette Maggiacomo, president of Duffy and Shanley, year 51 in business. And this has been fantastic. Learned a lot from you today. Hey, maybe we're in the wrong business at $1 million, a couple of posts.
No doubt.
Is it too late for us? I guess.
No doubt. I say to my team too, we really should be a reality show, because we have a lot of good content in here. No doubt. Thank you, Lori. I really appreciate the conversation this morning. Happy to join.
How do people reach you, Annette, if they want to?
you can always email me at Duffy, Maggiacomo at duffyshanley.com, or just go to our website, duffyshanley.com. And my contact info is there. I'm always happy to speak and help the community too. I really feel passionate about that, and helping people to understand how to, use PR and other services the best way that they can. So happy to do that.
Thank you, Annette, and your passion shows through, and we're really excited about the future of Duffy and Shanley. So
Thank you.
we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you, Lori.